We've done a small introduction on the server side, which, let me repeat it. We said we have the main directories, or the main directory housing two child directory, which one side is the client and the other side is the server. So the client side will be the front end and the server side will be the back end. Now in each subfolders we have uh, a number of folders in it. Like for example, the config, this is where your configuration file will be, an example being the database or db.js. Controllers, we said that these are the main functions dealing with the exact the exact functions that are going to be executed in the program, something like insert, reading or getting files, uploading, getting an exact record through its admin, updating, or not admin, but through its ID, updating a given record, deleting a record. All those are done in the controllers. Models is where we define our database schema. The database table will be defined here. The routes are like the URLs. When visiting a given function or given um, function in the controller, we channel it or we get it through the routes or the route. Middleware, we said this is where your access control will be when doing something like retrieving a file or visiting a given route. This is where we'll check um, the security measures, or it acts as a security layer connecting between the routes, controllers, and the models. If you are accessing a given resource, do you have the rights? We have them here under the middleware. Uh, util we said this is where we will have util functions in which if we have a custom function like file upload or something that handles file upload, we can have it in the util. Server, we said this is the main entry point. This real server or the main interaction point where you'll be interacting with the server side will be the server.js. The JSON, we said this is where we have the list of the modules or libraries that are used in the server. Now jumping to the client side, the client side is has two directories or two main directories or subdirectories, in which you have the public and the SRC. So the public has the static files, something like the CSS, JavaScript, or custom files that do not change. In the public, we also have the images. If you are doing an app that houses images, videos, anything that is static is held here. Logos are also done in the public. Now the SRC is where you have the pages, and these pages are normally subdivided into sections. Um, one being the components. This is where you have the reusable files, something like a login file, sign up page, home page, done here. Then the pages, these are like an extension of the components. If let's say you have a contact, your contact.tsx page, when building a website, you have a number of pages. Those pages are held here. The hooks, the hooks are the custom React hooks. We'll see how what are they. The services, we can say this is where you have your functions, something like an API that interacts with the data with the backend is done there. The context, any React context, any React context provider will be housed there. Then you have your app.jsx. This is the main entry point for your front end. So when loading your front end, this would be the reference point. Just like where you have the server as the main entry for the server side, you have the app.jsx as the main entry point for the front end. This is how you basically have to structure your project. I've tried to structure mine, though it's not complete, but I can take you through. Now, on top we have the man block, which is the parent folder. In it we have two subfolders, the client and the server. So if you check in the server, this is your backend now. The backend is here. Right from the bottom, you have the server.js. This is the server page, and it is actually the main execution point for our project as a backend. You have the packet JSON, or this has some configurations about the packages. Package lock, um, any dependency you installed is here, plus its integrity. You have the resolver, the integrity part, the license. So all of them are here. We have the model name here, the version, the resolve or the resolve URL, the integrity. This is like your secret key, or you can say it's like a secret key that gives you the access to um, such a resource. Then you have a last license as there. So I remember having watched the videos from the instructor. There's
Mm-hmm.
a way he instructs us to do our project. There's an approach that we should always follow, and the approach is starting from the very bottom, coming upwards. And the by very bottom, I mean you start from your database, then work
Mm.
upward. That's in that way you'll be able to uh, do your project in a simpler way. An example being, one, you have to make sure you have your .env files. You create a .env file, add the connection string, and this is where you connect to your your MongoDB or your database. And now, how do you get this information, or this information? The port here is your desired port in which you will want your application to run from. The MongoDB URL, this is the connection to your database URL. If you check on this, you can say MongoDB hash forward slash full column forward slash localhost 27017, and then man blog. This is your localhost URL. Then this is the database. In this statement, it means I'm running my project from my local database. But just in case I wanted to run it through the online version, the Atlas version, I'll first visit the Atlas URL, create um, a database, then copy the URL here. If I may ask, do you know how to create an online database to the Atlas system?
Yes, like yes, yes, yes. I
Okay,
know.
okay. Then that shortens our process. Then you have your JWT secret. We'll pass it here. The JWT secret. We'll know about it later. Then you have the client URL. This is where you will be running your client side. Your client. This is your server side, and this is your client. Remember, when the server runs, we don't access it through a browser, but the client can be accessed through the browser through the localhost port 5173. This is the port for the client. And in this, when we visit this, we'll be interacting with this side, this content. The other port interacts with this folder, which comes to access the server to JS file. Can see we still have, okay, I will explain all these what they do. Now, we've said we are doing the project from the bottom moving upwards. Bottom moving upward. The first thing you need to know or need to do is create a .env file and have the configurations in them. Step 2 is configure your database. Having these um, connection strings, you have to make sure you connect to this database. How do you do that? Come to your config, create a db.js, add the connection string. The first line here, which tells us or asks for Mongoose, since we are using Mongoose as the connection driver, we are going to require the services of Mongoose. So we create a variable Mongoose. We require the Mongoose as the driver. Then we create another variable connectDB. We do an asynchronous function. Asynchronous function here, we mean for a given action to happen, it should wait for another action to complete. In this case, for us to be able to execute anything, let's say if you want to do a query to receive or to retrieve a record, you have to await for the connection to be done before you do the query. So one action has to be completed for the other to take place, like that. So in this case, we are creating a connection, a constant connectDB, which we are requiring the services of the connections or asynchronous function. We are creating a synchronous function. We're passing the URL, and this URL should be borrowed from the .env. So we will first have to call the .env. So we say, I'm looking for the exact, so const, is it a const? The .env, I'm not sure about it, but I can just ask for a reference. I think you will forgive me there. I'll have to get the services here. Open a file with the waiting for it. Okay, we require the .env file. Let me just get the exact donation string. So I'll upgrade this to another version. I have the version here, though it's just it reflects the same thing. So in line 1 we are creating a variable which requires Mongoose, like that. Then require the .env from the config. .config, so this initializes or makes the .env file usable, because without it you won't be able to execute this. If you see the next line, require the process.env. This process.env happens because of this. So we are in line 14. Let me just delete this. We don't need it anymore. Just the same. Now in require .env will help in processing the env file and pulling the information we saved there. Now since we are creating as an asynchronous function, that means one has to be done before the other comes, or the other happens. So in this case we are trying to do an error handling function. We are trying to do the try catch error, on which if everything goes right, we execute this block. If in case there's a problem, we move or we catch the exact error, or we get the exact error here. Then since we'll have an error, we'll have to exit the whole process, and this function makes sure it shuts down even the server.js file and keeps it off. Now what if everything is right? Now we have to require the await. We use the await, and this await makes sure that it wait for that function that you're calling to complete before it goes to the next step. In this, we are requiring the mongoose.connect. .connect is a function which will pass the process.env. Process.env, we are calling the URL, the Mongo URL, or URI. If you check here, you have the Mongo URI. This is what will be called, or will be referred. In it, we are passing two. We call them parameters. We have the use new URL parser. You understand that there have been versions of these Mongoose or database connection. The previous versions had a way they used to connect, but now to the new versions, there's a way it does the connection. Now, for this function, we are instructing it to stick to the new URL. So anything being included or being connected, it has to go with the latest version. Then we have the unified topology. In this case, we are telling it when connecting to MongoDB, always stick to the stable version. Stick to the stable version. This is when passing the URL, the connection string, and this is for the for a stable connection. Yeah, it should maintain the stable connection, and if everything goes well, it has to give us this function, or this it has to log for us this message, MongoDB connected successful. That is when everything goes right. Let me see whoever is sending. Somebody is trying to ask for an assignment. Somebody is asking for an assignment. Okay. I hope you won't mind I share with this guy a link. Week 3 assignment. Is this week 3 or week 4? What are we doing?
Week 4.
Week 4. So you were able to do 3. Or where we are doing Tailwind CSS,
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm back here. So as I was saying, if you're doing a connection, there are two things you have to consider. If you just leave them free or empty, it will just try to connect with any available connection string. But in this case, we are telling it to stick to the newest version of the string. In this, we are telling it when doing the connection itself, regardless of the string provided, stick to the stable version. This one. I hope you have understood that. Now that is for the connection, and we said if it encounters an error, it should actually console log the exact error. We pass the error.message, the exact detailed message. Then we end the process. In this case, it has to stop even the server itself. Let me pass the termination points at the semicolon. Now after you do your function, you have to export. So you do module.export connection DB. So this connection DB is what we are exporting. It is the function or the function that will be executed in the other side. Now having done the connection string, what next? You said we deal with the database upward. The next thing is doing your schemas, which moves you to the models. For our case, we have three models, one being the users, the posts, and the categories. If you open users, this deals with the user table, which first we call the services of Mongoose. Let me just comment, use Mongoose driver. Then after importing, we construct our schemas. Schemas are like the database table, can say, or table structures. The way a structure should be like that. Structure should be like that. So this explains the rows for that given column, not rows, but the columns in that given table. If, for example, you have a table for users, the field or the columns that you will have to do in the table may be 1, the first name, 2, the last name, 3, if if it exists, the middle name. You have the phone number, the email, the password, and lastly the what do we call them? The timestamps. By timestamps, we mean the date created and the date updated. When you create a record, it registers the date created. At any given point, you update that same file or that same record, it will update the updated art field. Yeah. So in this case, we are defining the structure for our schema. We construct a variable called user schema, of which we initialize using the constructor new. We initialize the new MongoDB.schema. So we are requiring the services of a schema from the MongoDB driver. In this, we provide the information about our database or table columns. One being the column being the name, and then you pass the properties. This name, how should it be? One, we provide the type, and the type is of string. We know we've been dealing with data types in the other languages, and data types defines the nature of the data you are dealing with. For example, in this case, a string is a collection of the ASCII characters, the A to Z characters, plus numerical at times. Yeah, but most importantly, the ASCII characters. We have the required true, so when registering a user, you need to provide this information. If you don't provide it, that user won't be created because this field is mandatory. The required property makes it mandatory. Then we have the email. Email is of type string. We make it mandatory, but again we make it unique as a property. By unique, here you're trying to prevent users from creating the same different accounts using the same email. So you are trying to enforce the dependencies where, or you can say the rule where a user can create a single account using the same email or using a single email. If he or she tries to create another account using the same email, it should prevent that creation of the account and even return an error. The password, say this is of type string, then you pass the required being true. When creating an account, you need to provide a password. Yeah. Then lastly, we have the created at, which you said this is of type date, default date.now. By date.now means at that given moment where or when that record is created, get the date and time and add it. This is one of the way we use or we create it. Otherwise, we have the way we provide it here and say timestamps. Yeah, the timestamps will add the updated art and the created art. Yeah, this comes with this record automatically. So we may create them manually like this, or provide a dynamic way of creating it through this timestamp. Let me just remove this. We don't need it. Yeah, this one carries both the created art and updated art. And of course, after creating the model, we have to export Mongoose. We say Mongoose, call it a model, pass it through the user. This user stands for the exact table, and we pin it or we join it with the schema. Alternatively, you would do this. You create a user's constant. This is how you break it. You can break it this way, just in case you may find some difficulties to understand. What you need to do is just break it down. Do a create a constant variable. Let's say this is a user. Then we map it to this user. Then toward the end we export the user. This is where you export it. At least you be able to separate it in that way. So this one creates the variable and calls the services of mongoose.model. When creating the schema, we use mongoose.schema, but when creating the database table, we call the model. And that model, we pass the model name, which is the table name. Then we pin it or we map it to the schema we wish to have, like that. Then we do the modules that export user. So at any given point or anywhere we wish to use the users table, we are going to use the service. We are going to use this because we have exported it. Yeah. Now, the next is let's go to the categories first because it's simple. The categories. This is another table. Say const mongoose. We require mongoose because we use mongoose as the connection. Then we define a schema variable. We call the constructor new mongoose the schema. In each we have only two columns. We have the name and the slug. The name is of type string. It has the property required true and the unique true. So the name should be true, should be unique. So if let's say you are creating a category like let's say unique posts, for example, or let's say you want to do a post like what do you call them? Politics. Politics can be the category. Another post can be something to do with community, gender. So those given titles should be unique. You should not have gender and then have gender. Have politics and then have another politics. So the names uh, should be unique, just as the way we've done it in users. When creating an account, you need to use a single email for a single account, like that. Next is now the slug. The slug is of type string. Required true, unique true. Slug is like, for example, a slug can be another something like what do you call how do I call it? I used to use them in Python, which you say we can call them as the aliases or the I'm trying to get the exact name. An alias is like another name that connects to something. Let's say your real name is let's say let me use D. Your real name is Moya, but your alias is D. So if I want to refer to you, I can refer to you using the Moya, or I refer to you using the D. So this is like an AKA or an alias. So this slug is an alias to the name. Yeah. Just as some of us may have an alias. I don't know if Susan has an alias or Glory has an alias. The name that people call you, apart from the real name, your real name, there's another name they may call you. That alias is what we can refer to it as a slug in this scenario. Then of course we export the mongoose.category, but this I don't like this way of exporting because I want something that is a bit let me just do that. Export category. Yeah, in this case you can easily tell somebody when exporting, you export the category. Unlike if you have it in a full string, it is hard to know that you are exporting this category. But in this case, you create this, then you export. You know that this you are only exporting the category. Yeah, it's just the same, but I'm trying to have it in a well-structured mode. Now back to the posts. This is where you're supposed to be. It has a lot of content in it, but I will try explaining each. So this is a post model, and I guess this is what I was shared through the assignments. So if you clone the assignment, this is what you get. Yeah. So you have to require the services of Mongoose as the driver. Then for us to create another a schema, we construct or we initialize a variable, post schema. We call the new constructor for Mongoose schema, then pass the what do you call them, the columns or the fields. So in this case, this should be here. So we can just, let me just pull it back so that we have it in a structured way like that. So the title is one of the, it's of type string. This is just the same as what we had the other side. If we check these, this, it's only that they are done in a single line, but if you were to break them into different line, they should be like this. Yeah, then we have the other, the slug, like that. So it's just the same thing. So we have the title. Let me try having it in a single line. Then we have the property required, true. Then we provide the message. We have the trim true. We have the max length being 100 characters. Yeah, with the message. So in case in this case, for the title, we have the type string. This is of type string. This with the ASCIIs required. So when creating a post, you need to make sure the title is there, and we're passing them as an array. So the message is here, please provide a title, just in case you're doing a form. This can be one of the, it can be a placeholder, and again it can be reused as an error message, that is just in case somebody has created the field or is trying to excuse me, somebody is trying to do a creation of a record but does not have the title in the form. So you can use this to power it as a message. Then the trim true. So the trim true basically is used to do away with the white spaces. It, for example, you did a white space at the beginning or at the end, it clears it and makes sure that your statement is as clean as it should be. Sorry, I guess there's been an issue. Confirm if you can see my screen. Just confirm if you can see. Hello? Confirm if you can see my screen. Or give a thumbs up. Hello? Okay, thank you. So let's proceed. So the max length here is to make sure that you restrict the number of characters during the creation of that record to be either something should be less than 100 characters, sorry. So if you are trying to do an entry that goes beyond 100 characters, you should get an error. Yeah, so when doing that, you are restricting users from doing lengthy entries on the title. And this is very important for you to make sure you don't waste space, because the more the character you hold, the more space it consumes. Then you have the content. The content is of type string, required true. Then for this we don't have much restrictions. Yeah, so when doing the post, you make sure you have the title, the content. Then we have featured image. Yeah, featured image is of type string, and the default is default.post.jpg, default and hyphen post. So featured image is like when doing a post, if you want to attach an image, you attach that image. If you check well, we don't have required true, because it's not a must you attach an image. You can do a text, a plain text, and that is okay. But if you feel you wish to extend it to an image, you can also do that. But the default here is the default post.jpg. Then you have the slug. The slug, as I said, this is something like an alias. We have it as string, required, and unique. Accepts, is it accept? This is one of the fields, and it has, okay, it is of type string, maximum characters 200, and you have a message on it. We have the author. The author should be the creator, the person creating. This is of type mongoose.schema.types.objects.id. So this reflects to the author, or we can say this is a foreign key reflecting or connecting to a user object. So if your entry, or if you create an account, the account will be treated as an object. So when you do a post, the linking between your post and you as a user is done through the user mongoose, or the mongoose schema type of type object, which refers to your account as a user, or which the normal treatment is as an object. So this is also required. When doing a post, we should see, or should know, who the person is, the person who did the post, who that person is. We need to know the exact person. Yeah. Then the category. The category is when doing the post, you need to do or select the category, and this is also an object. That's why you have the object ID at the end. So as you do the post, you have to select if it is related to politics, gender, something like that, to select before doing the rest. Yeah. Then the tags. The tags, this is like a list. I don't know if you've ever posted something on Twitter or TikTok. If you want your message to be seen by many, you actually have to tag the trending information, or I say the trending content, so that when somebody visits or watches or reads the trending information, yours will also be suggested for them, something like that. So the tags are like the connection between your post and other posts, or something that can easily, or can make your content be searched or be accessed easily. Yep. So if you're doing a post in politics, you can tag it to the politics. You can tag it to anything that is trending, so that when that person visits, yours will also be somewhere there, being sneaked through. Then we have the view count. View count gets to know how many have viewed your content. If you sent a status yesterday, yes, let me go to WhatsApp. When you do a WhatsApp status, you'll be able to see who viewed or how many viewed. So the how many viewed is captured on the view count. This is of type number because we are only dealing with digits. You either have 1 view, 2 views, 3 views, or 1,000 views, etc. And that is of type number, and the default is 0. The moment you post, it is tagged as 0 or it is pinned as 0. So any access increase the count by 1. Then we have comments. You have comments here. Yeah, somebody may view your content and be able, and maybe they would like to do or to drop a comment, and that is how they do it. Comments, these are something like this is an array, sorry, of which it carries the user, the person commenting, and it connects to or reflects to the user table. Then we have the content this person is passing, and the date created, or we can call them the timestamps. Okay, then creating a slug. Basically, what you'll be required to do when creating a category, or let's say when creating a post, you don't input the slug, but once you input the name, the slug is generated automatically from what you pass as the name. Yeah. So this is the function that does the auto generation of slug. Then the posts. Here we are posting a schema virtual URL, get a function, we return posts, this dot slug. This is a virtual poster dealing with the slug. Methods to add comments. This is like we can call them the controllers. This is like a controller of adding the comments, yeah, of which you have the post schema methods. You use the add comment. This is a function which passes the user ID and the content. This dot comment dot push, you're trying to push it to the array. Let me go back to where it is. This is the array. The comment will have this as an array, or this field as an array, and whenever a person comments, it adds to the existing comments, or it appends it to the end of the comments. So if, let's say, you post something, it will be initially it will be 0 comment, but the moment you somebody comments, it will be added on the comments. If a number of users comments, the first one will be added, the second one will be added in that series, and this is the function that handles the add comments. Okay, the incremental view count. As I said, when somebody clicks on your post, that we can say that that view counter is increased by 1. So the moment you click, it gets to read the current view count and adds a new counter, which is it adds with a 1 count, then it saves. So if it was 2 initially, it will add 1, summing it to 3. If somebody else clicks, it increase the count to the next level, like 4, 5, 6, 7, and every time it adds, it saves. This is a function that saves. Then we export the schema. Yeah, we do module.export mongoose.post. I don't like this method That's why I do the const posts, then I export the posts. Like that. It's just the same. Yeah, so basically that is how you define your database. So if there was another table, you'll just do the same schema definition, so that at any given point when you want to do a function that adds, updates, deletes, or retrieve information to that schema, you'll be good to go, because the schema will already been defined. Now, having done the models, what next? Creating the routes, and in this case it's the controllers here. Category controllers are here. Now, as I said, controllers are the functions that actually does something, or add, retrieve, or deals with the content itself. For example, in this case, we are trying to get all the categories in this function, and this function gets to create the categories. We may have another function to update, delete, but for now we only have two functions. So initially we were doing these in the server, and I don't know if yeah, this is, if you remember, at some point you were doing something like app.get, then you pass the URL, something like /API/products, then you do an async function, of which you pass the request and the response as an arrow function, like that. Then you do your function below. This is what we used to do initially, but now we are trying to separate these services, so that we keep our code clean and readable. So we've just moved this from here to here, so that we can have our code being as clean as it should be. Yes. So the controllers are the same function you used to do them in the server. Here. Let's do the categories. So first, we have to call the services of the models. We have to call the table. We require the models category. So models means we need to move backward. Where are we? We are here. So we need to move backward. That's why we have two dots with a slash. Move upwards or outside. Then look for models, fetch the category. So this is the file we are referring to in this statement. Then we have we now get the exports dot get all. We use an asynchronous function. We said asynchronous function means for a given function to execute, it awaits the other first completer to be done to completion. Then we say we require, this is for the request, the rest, and the next. So the request as an argument, this carries any information that a user may pass for him or her to retrieve a given record. If, let's say, you want to target a specific post, you will have to pass the ID. Or if you want to save information, you'll have to pass a form with the information. That form is bundled within the request parameter. Yeah, the res, this is for the response. Anything that comes from the back end to be fired or to be channeled to the front end is passed through the res. The next is where we tend to push to the next action, or it passes the next action after. Okay, if we request the services of, or if you want to get all the records, what next? So the next action will be passed through here. Yeah. If, for example, you wanted to, let's say, save or create a post, you are creating a post. Then when you create it, what should happen next? You should be able to see all your posts. You create, you've been redirected to the next page, which displays all your posts. So the aspect or the content that has or contains the next page or the next action after execution of what you are trying to do is being held in the parameter next, like that. Then of course we have to do the error handling, of which we have the try and catch. So the try will try to execute your command. If it is successful, you'll have the category being returned in JSON format. In case it encounters an error, maybe you're trying to retrieve a resource, and that resource is not defined, or maybe it was deleted, something like that. You get to encounter an error, and that error should be provided under the catch or the catch block, like that. That is on the export or get all. This is where you want to get all the categories. Let me comment here. Get all categories. Then we have another function to create categories. Create categories. Yeah, with this one we follow the same structure. We do an export. So this is just a shortcut, a shortcut of, instead of us having something like, let me go back to the model, something like this at the end, exports something of which we have to have, we need to have the functions in variables first. This one tries to shorten them by exporting the function directly. Yeah. Alternatively, we were to do a const get all, a const create, then export dot module. We export the get all and the create at the end. Yeah, so this should not confuse you. Just follow the structure at the end. Yeah. So in this case, we are trying to pass a form with the information through the body. Then the request, the response is on the res. If we create a record successful, we should get a message or get the record that has been created. Yeah. Then the next, trying to push the next action after you successfully created the record. In this, we create a constant name and slug. As we say, the name and slug are passed through the body. So we have the requested body, which will pass this the information to this variable. Now, then you create a category, constant a category. Then we await. We say await category dot create. We pass the name and the slug. So this will create a new record and save it in the cat category. Then we pass res status res.status 201, that means we've been successful, or we have successfully created the category. Then pass the JSON format of that category. Yeah, and we should be done. In case it encounters an error, it goes to the error block and passes the error like that. That is on the category. If you go to the posts, this is the one that handles the posts. You can see there's an error here. You need to correct it. So these are just the same as what we used to do before, the app.get, app.post, app.put. Yeah, just the same here. It's only that we are doing the functions here, then we get to link them through the URL. This is where now we call the get, post, put, delete here. Initially we are just doing the app.get, then you do the function. But in this case, we are separating the function from the URL. Yeah. Up to there, let me not just sing. Any person with a question, just raise a hand and ask. Any question?
I'm not understanding the controller, the category.
You don't understand the controller, the category. Okay, I'll explain that. I go back to the to here. Let's go to the server.js. If you check your assignment 2, because assignment 1 was doing entries to MongoDB directly through the CRUD and the seed. Those were just queries in JavaScript. In assignment 2, you are trying to do the insertion of the queries through a given function. That function was written in the server.js directly, which we call it the Express. By then we were dealing with the Express.js, where we do the app dot get. Let me just create a new one. Let me just create a new file here. Guess from it, let's just call it app.js. Yeah, in this case, if you were to do an express file, first we'll do a const express, which you say require express, like that. Then we say const app equals we say this is express function. We pass that function. Let me just pass to the commas. Then we say const port we say this is 3000. Now then we do app.get. Then we pass the home. We say we get a request, do a res as an arrow function, So this is the function that will retrieve the information. So in this case, okay, I can see somebody has dropped. Okay, in this case, we are saying we are trying to do a function that will get, let me just pass the API. products. If let's say we had products array, so array is done like that. Product, then we have, let's use let here. Let products be, do product 1, we say name, let's do name to be something like Samsung. Do a price, that price be, let's say 2000. Then we pass another price, pass another item, we say name, let it be Oppo. Do price, let it be 3000, in quotes. Then we do another item, we say name, and we just use single quotes, sorry. For standardization, use single quotes. Name, we say this is Techno. We'd say price, just pass a price here, 1500, like that. Yeah. Now we assume these are our products. Then we're trying to retrieve all the products. Yeah. To get all the products, we can say const products. We say this is products dot find I'm not sure about this dot find, but I will confirm. Then we say if, can just do a try catch. We try I'm trying to write Python in JavaScript. Catch the error, then we pass console dot error, pass the error dot message, like that. Now here you do rs.json, you can do status 200.json, you pass the products. So in such a case, this is the way we used to do the functions. So if you had another one here, you could do app.posts, then you pass the same, you do API, do products, and then you pass a request, a response, and as an arrow function, like that. Then do the function here. If you were to update, you do an app dot put, then you do the API do products products slash, you do an ID, to do a rec, a request, a response, an arrow function, like that. Do the update. Then toward the end you do app.listen. You can say app.listen. You do a port. You do an empty function. You do an arrow function, and then you can say console dot log. You say server running on port. You pass on port. You pass a $sign to a port. Yeah, like that. Oh, something is wrong here. I should do a comma. So if you check, this is the way we were doing them, the functions, for a single file. So this is, let's say this was our single file for us. Now this is a function that updates, this is a function that posts, and this is a function that that gets. Now instead of us having all these together, because this is a combination of two things, we have the URL and the function. What if we do it this way? We say we remove this content here, and actually have a function outside, a function to get the information just outside there. Let me just do it as a function out here. Function get all products. Function get all products, like that. So it should be a function, sorry. Function get all products. Now if this was the function to get all the products outside this block, how do we execute this in this? This is how you call it. You'll have to pass it here, so that if you want to call this, the moment you visit this, it will call this function. This function is here. Yeah. Now this function can be run through this function, but as we can see, they are still in the same file. What if we move this into another file, so that we only call it from that file? Now in that case, that's how it has been done. We have this function which was initially here running in a different file here, or a different here, because you can see the get one. This is the function here. And how do we refer to that function? If we check here, we were referring to that function through this entry point, of which we have the URL. Now if we separate this URL here from this main file, we now call, or we now move it to the routes. Here it is, the get all. So we get the get all. Sorry, I did put it in the wrong way, but this is how you were to call it. This is how you are to call it. You remove this function, sorry, you remove this, let me undo. You remove this to here. You call the function. Yeah. So this will call this. But now if you take this outside this file, you move it to the routes. This is where we have them. Then these routes have been borrowed here, have been called here. You can see we have get routes here. App.use, app.use, app.use. So if you move it to another file, you now get to use app.use. Then you pass the file having the roots. So let me go back here. We now, instead of saying app.get here, we say app. We create a file. Let me create a file here. Call it routes. Routes like that. .js. Yeah, that routes.js will have this exact function. This exact function here in this file. In this, yeah. Then we call the routes. We say routes.get. We call this function. So this function, since we had, let me just remove this function to our controller. I'll remove this. We create another file here called controller. .js. Now the controllers are here. So this function has the controller to get all the products. Now for us to come to execute this, we'll invoke it through the routes here. Now these routes will be called by what? By the app. So this app, instead of using this, we'll use app.use. Then we pass the file. The file is .routes. Then we remove this. So at any given point, if you want to use the routes, you visit the ./root. ./root means the same. So ./root, this file will call the information in this file, and this file will include what has been added in the controllers. So it is just the same thing, but now separated. Initially we were doing the apps, and the apps or the apps were done, or the function were done in this way, of which we define the app, the method, the URL, and the function. So the function has been taken away into the controllers. The path here has been taken away to the routes here, and what has just been included in the app is just the use controllers or use routes. If you check in the server side, you can say you can see this. Has that been answered? Hello? Hello? Just confirm if it has been answered. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that is now the traditional way. We bundle everything in a single file, but for professionals, we separate them. We separate, and that separation means we should have models in their folder, configuration in their folder, middleware in their folder, the routes in their folder, utils, validators in their different folders. But all of those have been joined in a single file called the server.js. Now in the server.js is where we link all the resources. I hope that is done, and I beg to stop it at there. We proceed tomorrow. Yes, I can see somebody is joining. Yes, Niavie, were you answered? Just speak.
Yes, ni network yake.
Just speak. Were you answered?
Iko sawa.
So next ukipata uh, instructor anakuambia
Yes.
go to the controller. If your instructor tells you uh, go to the controller, that's how uh, those informations have been separated. Yeah, thank you. And I beg to stop there today. We've really come a long way. So we proceed tomorrow, unless you have a question. And I beg we be fast in this because I don't want to spend more time doing this project or this assignment. My goal is not to have it done, it is having it well understood by you. So that next, when you get the same or another assignment, you get to know how to handle it. Because I might not be there. You might be given a test as you're looking for a job. This is what they require you, or they want you to do the separation. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Any question? Hello?
Hello, for me, not a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the one who was requesting about the week 3 assignment.
Yes.
Yeah,
For the week 3 assignment,
yes.
for the week 3 assignment iko sawa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, najaribu kujibu mtu hapa message eh?
Yeah.
Nimeiona iko sawa. It's something dealing with the Tailwind CSS. Tailwind, sorry, Tailwind CSS. So you did introduction to HTML, the CSS, Bootstrap in the previous sessions. So
Yeah.
when dealing with man, since it's something that creates an interface should be modeled in a way that it is appealing to the users. And how do we achieve an appealing interface? We invoke the services of CSS, cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheet initially was done or was being used to model web pages, but in the advanced programming languages like React, we tend to migrate from CSS to Tailwind. Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is just CSS in JavaScript.
Okay.
Yeah, modeling CSS in JavaScript. I hope.
So it could be fair if maybe as we can organize, maybe tomorrow in the morning hours.
Yes.
Yeah, you at least you guide me directly because I'm still behind. I'm trying to understand even the. I'm trying to understand the what can I call it? The front end development.
Okay, so we'll have a session tomorrow. Just
Okay.
specify the time, because
Okay.
we are human and we have own engagements at times.
True. True.
Yes, so I'll be waiting.
Okay. Okay. I will contact you very early in the morning. Maybe we can start at 8:30.
I thought it would be too early for me because I have an early meeting. Is it possible we
Oh,
do it at 4? At 4?
4 p.m.
Not 4, not exactly 4. 4 is at p.m.
At 10 a.m.
No, I was trying to find an exact time because I'm always free at 4. And
In the evening.
yes, but let me try to squeeze. if you can have it at 10.
Even at 4, it's okay.
Let's have it at 10 because at 4 may have some issues.
Okay.
Is tomorrow Thursday? or
She won't
Friday?
be attending class. Tomorrow is Friday. She won't be attending the man class.
That's why I was trying to navigate through, because I know we have a class at 10, and at the same time, at least, is it at 2? Is it at 2? Between 2 and
Yeah.
between 2 and
2
4.
to 4.
2 to 4. Mm.
Yeah.
That is the time we are free.
No, so there's class from 2 to 4.
Then after 4.
After 4,